people are saying it's a falling angel.
What if the next thing that fell from the sky wasn't rain, but something that changed your life?
Oh, it's a fish.
As you can see on the road here, there's approximately 225 dead starling on the road itself.
From a mysterious beam of light to raw meat to $1 million rock landing in someone's backyard.
Could crash through the roof of his living room.
These are just a few of the strangest, most terrifying things ever to fall from above. Number 26. The mysterious Chilean light strike. This footage out of Chile has millions asking the same question. What just struck that house? A man filming the city skyline caught a focused beam of light piercing through the clouds in seconds. The impact site completely undamaged, and that's where things get weird. The beam was sharp, concentrated, and over in a flash. When investigators checked the yard where it hit, they found nothing. No scorch marks, no crater, no evidence of destruction. You'd expect something that intense to leave a trace, but there was nothing. Once the video went viral, theories flooded in. Some viewers were convinced it looked too precise to be natural. Maybe something from beyond Earth, a surgical strike from above. Others speculated about classified military technology, secret weapons testing happening in plain sight. But the truth? It was nature putting on a show. Experts believe it was an extremely rare, tightly focused lightning strike. Number 25. The day geese fell from the sky. April 2019, Idaho Falls. Residents walked outside to find dozens of geese scattered across a parking lot like broken toys. No warning, no explanation, just bodies, clustered in the same area, covering the pavement. Minutes earlier, they'd been flying. A normal flock doing what geese do. Then something happened mid-flight and gravity did the rest. The scene looked apocalyptic. People stood there trying to make sense of it. You don't expect the sky to fail like that. You don't expect to watch nature glitch in real time. Theories started immediately. Poisoning? A collision with something invisible? Some kind of attack? When animals die in groups, people look for patterns, for intent, for something that makes it make sense. But the truth was simpler, and somehow more unsettling. Experts pointed to lightning. A sudden storm, a flock in the wrong airspace at the wrong second. Number 24. When drones shut down a New York airport. Stewart International Airport in New York became the center of a mystery in December 2024 when runways were abruptly closed and incoming flights redirected. The reason? Drones circling too close to the airspace, not one or two. Multiple drones, hovering in patterns that forced air traffic controllers to halt operations entirely. Planes were rerouted mid-flight, passengers stranded, schedules thrown into chaos. The airport admitted publicly that it was shut down due to drone activity in the airspace. The situation escalated fast. The governor called for federal assistance, demanding answers and action, but no clear answers came. No arrests, no identified operators. The drones appeared, disrupted one of New York's key airports, and then vanished, leaving officials scrambling to explain how something so mysterious could happen without consequences. Number 23. When the sky rained blood. The Indian state of Kerala woke up to rain in 2001, but something was massively off. The water wasn't clear. It was red, deep crimson red, staining streets, rooftops, and clothing like something out of a nightmare. People looked up and saw blood falling from the clouds. Panic spread fast. Rain doesn't bleed. People stayed indoors, terrified, watching red water pool in the streets. Some thought it was a plague. Others feared divine punishment or contamination. Researchers scrambled for answers. Samples were collected and analyzed under microscopes. What they found was both relieving and bizarre. Algae spores. Trentipolia annulata, a locally common green alga that grows on tree bark and wet rocks, produces red and orange pigments. Heavy pre-monsoon rains had triggered massive algal growth, and strong winds lifted enormous quantities of microscopic spores into the atmosphere. When mixed with rainwater, they turned it red. Number 22. The rock that fell from the moon. A deafening bang shook the walls of a house in North Sumatra, loud enough to sound like an explosion. The man inside thought something nearby had detonated. He rushed outside, heart pounding, expecting to find damage or debris. What he found instead was a hole in the ground, 6 inches deep. And at the bottom, still radiating heat, was a rock. Not just any rock. It was smooth, dense, and unlike anything he'd seen before. He pulled it out carefully, feeling the warmth against his hands. It didn't belong there. It didn't belong on Earth. He suspected it might be a meteorite and posted photos online. Experts examined the images and delivered shocking news. This wasn't just space debris. It was a lunar rock, a fragment from the moon itself, somehow ejected and sent hurtling toward Earth. The man sold it for over $1 million. Collectors and researchers compete fiercely for lunar material, and this was genuine. The payday changed his life overnight. Number 21. The cloud that shouldn't have been there. Pilots see a lot. Storms, strange weather patterns, optical illusions at altitude. But this was different. A routine flight over open skies turned into something else when the pilot looked down and saw a massive cloud doing something clouds don't do, splitting from below. His camera caught it all. Lightning streaking out in patterns that looked too precise, too mechanical. Thick smoke trails hanging beneath it like exhaust. He reported it, filed the footage, waited for someone to explain what he'd seen. Nothing. No statements from authorities. No investigation. Not even an acknowledgement that anything unusual had happened. The silence was louder than any explanation. Meanwhile, locals on the ground had their own theory. That wasn't a cloud at all. It was a vessel, something massive, hiding in plain sight, cloaked in weather to avoid detection. Number 20. When hundreds of birds fell from the sky. December 12, 2019, a woman was driving along a rural road in Anglesey, North Wales, when she saw what looked like a flock of starlings gathered near the hedgerows. Normal enough, until she got closer. They weren't moving. Hundreds of them scattered across the roadside like they dropped mid-flight. No signs of struggle. No obvious cause. Just bodies, covering the pavement in eerie silence. She called the authorities immediately. This wasn't natural. Birds don't just fall out of the sky in groups like that all at once, all in the same place. Officials arrived and collected samples for testing. They needed to know what killed them. Poison? Disease? Some kind of atmospheric event? The tests would tell them. Except they didn't. No confirmed cause was ever released. No explanation for why hundreds of starlings suddenly collapsed on a quiet road in Wales. The person who filmed the scene estimated around 225 dead starlings on the road itself. Number 19. The orb that dropped fire. A glowing orb appeared over California in 2023, and what it did next broke every rule. Someone caught it on camera, hovering peacefully until it started releasing objects. Bright, molten-looking fragments that dropped like fire, then vanished mid-air. No explosion, no impact, just gone, as if they'd blinked out of existence. The footage went viral. Millions watched the orb dispense these fiery objects one after another, each disappearing before hitting the ground. No trace left behind. Experts offered nothing. No official explanation, no investigation. The silence left people scrambling for answers. Some believed it was an aircraft shedding debris, breaking apart at altitude. But the way those objects fell looked too controlled, too deliberate, like it was dumping material on purpose, not losing pieces by accident. Number 18. Blackstone's rain. Rain is supposed to be water. Clear, predictable, something you expect. But in 2021, Italy got something else entirely. One evening, residents looked up and saw black clouds rolling in nearby. Thick, unnatural, blocking out the sky. Then the stones started falling. Not hail, not debris. Black stones dropping from above like some kind of apocalyptic hailstorm. Small fragments pelting rooftops, streets, and cars. People scrambled inside, confused and alarmed. This wasn't weather. This was something else. Calls flooded the police. The answer came quickly. A nearby volcano had erupted, violently enough to launch volcanic rock into the atmosphere. The explosion created a storm of debris that spread across the region, turning the sky black and raining stone over entire towns. The strange mercy of it all? The stones were light, porous volcanic rock formed in the eruption's heat. They fell fast but caused almost no damage. Number 17. The object that kept pace with a plane. A passenger on a flight over Seoul looked out the window and saw something that shouldn't have been there. White, oval-shaped, flying alongside the aircraft at cruising altitude. Not falling behind, not drifting away, just keeping pace, as if matching speed intentionally. The passenger grabbed their phone and started recording. The footage shows the object clearly, smooth, steady. Then, without warning, it accelerates and vanishes out of frame in seconds. The video went viral, and the theories came flooding in. Some viewers were convinced. Alien spacecraft, no question. Others called it a hoax, dismissed it outright without explanation. The skeptics offered more practical answers. A plastic bag caught in wind currents, a parachutist seen from above, a water droplet smeared on the window creating an optical illusion. But none of those explanations hold up under scrutiny. Plastic bags don't reach cruising altitude at 30,000 feet. Parachutes can't match an aircraft's speed or suddenly accelerate like that. And water droplets on windows distort and leave streaks when hit by high-speed airflow. This object stayed sharp and clear the entire time. Number 16. When fire reigned over California. On the 2nd of April, 24 people across Southern California stepped outside and saw streaks of light tearing through the night sky. Bright, blazing trails descending fast, their tips glowing white-hot like they'd just pierced the atmosphere. Phones came out immediately. Social media lit up with speculation. Meteor shower, comet breaking apart, debris from a satellite collision. No one knew, but everyone had a theory. Some thought it looked too controlled to be natural. Others swore it was space junk finally meeting its end. A few went further. Alien craft entering undetected, using the cover of re-entry to slip through. The real answer came from an unexpected source. China's Shenzhou 15 spacecraft had completed its mission, and its orbital module was burning up on re-entry. Planned destruction, metal turning to fire as it fell back to Earth in a controlled descent. Number 15. The day worms fell from the sky. Rain is supposed to wash things clean. But in Liaoning, China, the storm left something far worse behind. Residents stepped outside after the downpour and stopped cold. Their streets, sidewalks, rooftops, and cars were covered in worms, thousands of them. Pale, stringy, clustered together in heaps like something out of a nightmare. People backed away slowly. Some ran inside and locked their doors. Others stood frozen, trying to process what they were seeing. This wasn't normal. Storms don't drop living creatures. Then experts arrived and examined the scene closely. They picked up samples and delivered an answer that was both relief and confusion. They were not worms, but Atkins. Long, drooping flower clusters shed by the poplar trees that line the region's streets. Spring had triggered mass blooming, and the storm knocked thousands of them loose all at once, scattering them across the city in a single wave. Wet and tangled together, they looked disturbingly organic. Their shape mimicked worms so perfectly that from any distance, especially piled on windshields or clumped on pavement, they seemed alive, moving even when they weren't. Number 14. When thousands of birds covered the ground. On September 2021 in Bali's Gianyar Regency, a man walked into a cemetery and stopped cold. The ground was covered in sparrows. Not a few, thousands. scattered across the earth like they dropped all at once, blanketing the cemetery in feathers and small bodies. Most were lifeless, some were dying. He stood there trying to process it. Birds don't just fall from the sky in massive numbers, not like this. Heavy rain had rolled through the area recently, and some suggested that explained it. But rain doesn't kill thousands of birds mid-flight and drop them in the same location. That's not how weather works. Authorities were called. Samples were collected. People waited for an explanation. Disease, poisoning, something that made sense of the scene. No solid cause was ever confirmed. Tests came back inconclusive. Theories circulated, but nothing stuck. The birds had simply fallen all together in one place for no reason anyone could prove. Number 13. A visitor older than the planet. A man sat at his desk in Georgia, noise-canceling headphones on, when a sound like a gunshot cracked through his house. He looked up to see debris floating in the air and a hole torn through the ceiling. On the floor below sat a rock, still warm, with a fresh dent in the wood where it had landed after punching through the roof and attic. Minutes earlier, drivers on nearby roads had filmed a glowing fireball streaking across the sky, blazing fast, tearing through the atmosphere. They recorded it and posted it online, never knowing where it would hit. Planetary geologist Scott Harris examined the rock and confirmed what seemed impossible. A meteorite 4.56 billion years old from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, 20 million years older than Earth itself. This rock had existed before our planet formed, survived the birth of the solar system, and drifted through space for eons before deciding its final destination was a living room in Georgia. Number 12. The storm that rained fish. Yasuj, Iran, decided the phrase raining cats and dogs wasn't strange enough, so it rained fish instead. A storm rolled in heavy and fast, dumping rain across the city, but residents looking up noticed something else falling with it. Fish. Small silver tumbling from the clouds like they'd been launched from above. Some were still moving when they hit the pavement. People stood stunned, watching fish flop on sidewalks and streets. This wasn't debris. This wasn't hail. These were living creatures, dropped from the sky. Scientists offered the most likely explanation: a waterspout, a tornado-like vortex that forms over water, powerful enough to suck fish from a lake or river and carry them into the atmosphere. The storm then transported them miles away before releasing them over the city. But this phenomenon is so rare that scientists still don't fully understand the mechanics. They know it happens. They've documented it. But the precise conditions required to lift fish into the sky and drop them somewhere else? Still a mystery. Number 11. The floating object with tentacles. People in Amman, Jordan, looked up in 2018 and saw something drifting high above the city that didn't belong there. At first glance, it seemed like a camera glitch or an optical illusion. But when someone zoomed in with their phone, the details sharpened into something unsettling. The object was round, suspended in midair, with several long, tentacle-like extensions hanging from its underside. They swayed slightly, almost organic, like something alive moving through water instead of air. It didn't behave like a balloon. No erratic drifting or bobbing in the wind. It wasn't an aircraft either. No rotors, no wings, no sound. Just this silent, hovering thing with appendages that looked too deliberate to be random fabric or debris. No official explanation followed. No identification from authorities. The object appeared, lingered long enough to be documented, then vanished without clarification. Number 10. Las Vegas got bombed by bees. Las Vegas has seen strange things, but waking up to find cars and houses covered in greasy brown splatters was a new level of bizarre. At first, residents thought the worst. Acid rain? Industrial contamination? Something toxic falling from the sky overnight, coating windshields and siding in a thick, sticky layer. The truth was somehow worse and better at the same time. It was bee excrement. A massive swarm had flown over the area and relieved themselves mid-flight, all at once, over entire neighborhoods. The result was a blanket of insect waste covering everything left outside. Harmless, according to experts, but definitely not what anyone expects to wake up to. Maybe the bees took "what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas" a bit too literally. They made their statement and kept flying, leaving behind a mess no one saw coming. Number 9. Project Bluebeam. Something happened in the night sky that made every car below lose its mind. The video shows strange activity overhead, lights, movement, something unnatural cutting through the darkness. Then, almost immediately, chaos on the ground. Car alarms erupted across the area, blaring in unison. Headlights flashed on and off. The footage spread fast and the theories came faster. Some viewers were convinced this was proof of Project Bluebeam, a conspiracy theory claiming governments will stage a fake second coming using holograms and advanced technology to control the masses. According to believers, this was a test run, a rehearsal for something bigger. Number 8. The birds that moved like a message. Bird flocks paint patterns across the sky all the time, but what witnesses saw in Hawaii felt different. A large group moved together in formation, shifting and reforming with precision that didn't look random. The pattern felt deliberate, almost coded, like the birds were spelling something out or following instructions no one else could hear. Locals stopped what they were doing and watched. The movements were too organized, too synchronized. Murmurations happen, flocks moving as one to avoid predators or navigate together. But this looked less like a survival instinct and more like communication. Number 7. The Blue Fireball. Northern Queensland lit up one night in 2023 when something glowing and blue streaked across the darkness. Cameras at Cairns Airport caught the whole descent. A brilliant fireball blazing with blue light, falling fast toward the horizon before vanishing completely. The footage was stunning and immediately controversial. Astronomers had a simple explanation: meteor. A rock from deep space entering Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed, heating up, breaking apart, and then burning out. Happens all the time. Nothing unusual about it. But ufologists weren't buying it. They looked at the same footage and saw something else entirely. The trajectory was too controlled. The glow is too intense. They believe meteors aren't always what they seem, that some of these rocks are actually vehicles slipping into our atmosphere undetected, disguised as natural phenomena. Number 6. The Gold Rain. When something falls from the sky, you expect rain. Maybe hail, not gold bars. Yakutsk, Siberia. Witnesses near the local airport heard a noise and looked up to see metal objects tumbling through the air. Heavy, shiny, slamming into the ground near the runway. People rushed over to see what had fallen. Gold bars, actual gold, scattered across the pavement like discarded cargo. The explanation came quickly. A cargo plane had just taken off when its hatch malfunctioned mid-flight. Part of its load bars of solid gold spilled out during ascent, raining down onto the airport below. Authorities moved fast to secure the scene and recover the gold. They collected what they could, piecing together the plane's lost shipment bar by bar. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Recently, a bizarre story surfaced from Mongolia, where villagers in remote areas reported a strange and unsettling sight. According to witnesses, a man with wings fell from the sky, crashing to the ground with a loud thud. As people gathered around in shock, the mysterious winged figure reportedly stood up and then vanished before their eyes. No one can explain what they saw, and disbelief still lingers in the village. So what do you think? An angel fallen to Earth or an elaborate hoax? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. The ring that hung in the sky. A resident in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado looked up and saw something that shouldn't have been there. A glowing ring hovering high above the peaks, not drifting, not moving, just suspended in place, perfectly circular, clear enough to see its shape against the sky. It looked less like an object and more like an opening, a portal hanging in the air leading somewhere else. The resident grabbed their phone and started recording. The ring stayed motionless, glowing softly, defying every instinct about how things in the sky are supposed to behave. Then, after a short while, it began to fade. Not moving away or descending, just dissolving, like it had never been there at all. Number 4. The Green Fire. Late one night over Portugal, the darkness was shattered by something burning green. A meteor blazed across the sky, intense and vivid, cutting through the black like a flare from another world. The streak moved fast but left a glowing trail that lingered for moments before fading completely. Witnesses stopped in their tracks. Some grabbed their phones and started recording. Others just stood there, stunned, watching the sky light up in a color that felt wrong for fire. Too bright, too unnatural. Green meteors are rare. Most burn white or orange as they enter the atmosphere, their composition determining the color of their death. But green suggests specific elements: nickel, copper, magnesium materials not common in every space rock. No impact site was confirmed. No debris recovered. Just a green fire that tore across Portugal's night sky and vanished, leaving only footage and questions. Number 3. The Meat Rain. Imagine standing on your porch when chunks of flesh start raining down around you. Not hail, not birds, meat. In 1870s, Olympia Springs, a farmer's wife stepped outside and watched as 2-inch squares of raw meat dropped from a clear sky, splatting onto the ground at her feet. Word spread fast. The New York Times picked up the story, and suddenly the whole country wanted answers. But before scientists could intervene, locals did what you absolutely should not do when mystery meat falls from above. They tasted it. Some said deer. Others swore it was lamb. One hunter was convinced. Bear meat, no question. They debated it like wine connoisseurs, as if the flavor profile mattered more than the fact that flesh was falling from the sky. The official explanation settled on something equally revolting. A pack of buzzards circling overhead, feasting on a load of meat like a party in the clouds, then vomiting their half-digested meals over the town like the world's worst confetti. Nature's cruelty delivered from above. Number 2. The Cloud That Wasn't a Cloud. A man stood watching the sky in Venezuela when one cloud caught his attention and wouldn't let go. It wasn't moving like the others. Wasn't shaped like them either. Dense, deliberate, unnaturally massive, like it had been placed there instead of formed. He kept staring, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then the light started, flickers from deep inside the cloud. Pulses that came and went in rhythm, too controlled to be lightning. The glow didn't spread or crack across the sky. It stayed contained within the mass as if something behind it was leaking through. Experts offered a simple explanation: just a cloud with lightning inside. Unusual but not impossible. Charged particles can create internal flashes that look deliberate when trapped in dense formations. Number 1. The Rock from Mars. 13,000 years ago, the sky delivered a package. A black stone barely bigger than a baseball. And it came from Mars. It sat frozen in Antarctic ice near the Allen Hills, waiting. In 1984, a research team spotted it during an expedition. Small, dark, unremarkable at first glance. They picked it up, cataloged it, and assumed it was just another meteorite. They were wrong. Back in the lab, tests painted a different picture. The rock was 3.5 billion years old. Its mineral composition didn't match anything on Earth, it matched Mars. Identical to soil samples NASA's Viking landers had analyzed on the red planet's surface years earlier. The story assembled itself. An asteroid had slammed into Mars with enough force to eject chunks of the planet into space. This fragment drifted through the void for millions of years before Earth's gravity caught it. It crashed down, buried itself in ice, and waited 13,000 years for someone to find it. But here's where things got strange. Scientists cracked it open and examined it under powerful microscopes. Deep in the meteorite's cracks and pores, they found structures, tiny elongated shapes, globules, formations that looked disturbingly like fossilized bacteria. Some experts were convinced these were biological signatures, proof that Mars once hosted life when it was warmer and wetter, capable of supporting primitive organisms. Others pushed back hard, insisting the shapes could form naturally through mineral processes alone. No biology required. That's all for Sky Mysteries. Don't miss the videos on screen now. They're just as interesting. Catch you in the next one.